Alrighty. Hi, everybody. Welcome to my channel. This is Heather and Daniel. I'll go ahead and link him at the bottom. Today, we're going to be talking about the book, All That's Left in the World by Erik Brown. There's the cover. Isn't it nice? Really cute. And I think you had said, Daniel, that the UK cover was like even better, right?
Yes, the UK cover is things you dream of. It's very cinematic. It's gorgeous. That's all I could say.
All right, great. So I guess go ahead and let us know what the book was about, and then we can go ahead and let the readers know
Okay.
about it.
So the book is about two teenage boys, and they're in a post-apocalyptic world, but it's not like zombies or creatures or any of that. It's like the after COVID. It's a lung disease, I guess. It's like a bird type flu. But yeah, so it's them falling in love in the midst of an adventure through this apocalypse.
Yeah, I believe it was like a super flu, I think it was, right? So it was
Yeah.
like a after COVID, but like, so I think COVID did exist in this world, and then came the super flu that was like an avian flu kind of thing. Right.
Yeah.
So what did you think about the book?
I really freaking enjoyed it. I loved it so much, with no spoilers at first, because we're go heavy into spoilers. But it was like I was on the edge of my seat. It was a fun adventure. I didn't want to stop reading. I did read it in under 24 hours, so I could say I read it in a day, even though I went to sleep. I know, I'm like, Heather,
I got the text like, I'm done, and I was like, what the hell? I barely
started. Yeah, and you started first. You started first a few hours before, and then you're like, okay, I stopped at page one something, and I'm like, okay, I'll read till that, and I'm like, and I couldn't stop. I went to work like with like 2 hours of sleep. It was that good. And then of course work was very slow that day, so I was able to like really get into it. Yes, it was like, yes.
Yeah, for me too. I really enjoyed it as well. I read it a little slower than you, but I still read it pretty fast after that. I think I finished maybe a couple of days after you, so it was really good. It was a really good book. I think
you were gushing about it first. You were like texting me.
Yeah, I read well into like the night, a couple of nights with that book. So I think I finally I finished it at like 1 a.m. I think we were messaging each other like, I'm done.
Yeah,
great. I loved it. Definitely.
Yeah, we're night owls.
So yeah, I think if I were to I rated the book in Goodreads, because I have it up on Goodreads. I rated it a 4 because I thought it was really good. It was so great. I really enjoyed the two characters. I love the whole arc of the story, and it was definitely a fun adventure for sure.
Yeah, I might give it slightly higher, like 4.5, because I do think it's like, at least in the queer like young adult books, it's in the higher end, because some of them could be very angsty and boring. This one's exciting and cool and fun to read, so I think I put it over the edge. 4 would be best in like books of all time, but at least in queer young adult fiction, it's a little bit higher, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, definitely. I can understand what you're saying, especially the love story, because I think sometimes, I won't lie, sometimes we've read stories, you and I, or we've watched movies, and I'm just at the end of it, like, why did it happen this way? It's so sad. So this one is
not to reveal me or yours age, but we came from a time that it was like one queer author and like and we had to like go to the library or school library, ran out remember Rainbow Boys? That was at Alex Sanchez. Shout out to him.
Peak YA for us.
Yes. And you know what's funny in juxtaposition to this is that the book is written in the same way as Rainbow Boys. I don't know how you would call that it's a point of view hopping from one character to the other.
Each chapter changes from the point of view. So you have one boy in one chapter and then the other boy in the next chapter.
Exactly.
Which I think was great. It was a good choice for the.
And it was, to me, it was nostalgic because our first queer book when we were kids and teens with Rainbow Boys,
Yeah,
it was
they did the
written
same
in the
thing,
same
yeah.
format, but 3 boys.
3 boys,
So
right?
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. But
We're having a
I,
moment.
I know, right? We're like, oh my god, queer.
Remembering your
Oh, there
youth.
we go. No, no, because you know, saying that we didn't have as many back in the day, and now we just have a ton of them.
Now it's
Like
everywhere. I love it. It's
now it's
fantastic.
everywhere. Yes, Barnes and Nobles, Target, they have a whole
Of
you know
different authors, different people coming out. You have fun stories, sad story, everything in between. So
yes, and the cover doesn't have to be obscure. Like the cover could be like
yeah,
out there.
it was right there. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. But I guess so we both really loved it. We rated high. So I guess we'll go into spoilers now and just like gush about the book.
Okay, you start. Go ahead.
Okay, so I guess we could start. I know me and you agree that the beginning we were scared.
Yes.
Not like super duper duper scared, but like we were like, uh-oh, because like at least the joking with Andrew and stuff like that, it could like it's like I'm trying to find the perfect words for it. It's like it could become I'm just gonna say it because I don't have like a big ass vocabulary. The best way I could say it is that it felt very it like a porn parody, like it could cross that line
Right.
of like, even though it's not sexual or anything,
No.
not at all.
I would compare it more to like the Wattpad fan fiction kind of story.
Yes, like yeah, you
we're
have
like
better.
we're like, you know, I don't know if you
wording.
remember. I don't know if you remember this like peak fan fiction era was like when they would type the story, but then like throughout the middle it would be like parentheses. Oh my god, this and this. You know, like the author would just randomly write like a cutesy thing, and you're like, why would you put that in the middle of a story? It kind of reminded me a little bit of that, especially in despite liking it, like the .jpeg thing that he did. I don't know if you remember the Q, Paul Rudd.
Yeah,
like
the Paul
that,
Rudd
yeah,
meme
like
or GIF. Yeah,
it was likable, like not too annoying, but just to the point where it was like, I hope it's not gonna go into that direction.
yeah. I hopefully it's not too cringe. And thank God that even though we might be slightly older, we're still young at heart. That we get the references,
Yeah,
and we're not that clueless.
it's
Because we
definitely
also have to,
era, yeah.
Yeah, we have to remember that it's like, especially that they both love the Avengers and stuff like that. This is, it's a teen book, but
Right.
we're still nerds and geeks, so we love all those. We're very pop culture heavy, so like we like characters who are very, funny and humorous and break the fourth wall, but not really. He doesn't break the fourth wall.
Exactly.
He's just very, in the apocalypse, I would talk to myself too.
Right. Exactly. And it's like I told you, like at first it started off kind of like I wasn't sure, and I felt like I think the author himself was a little like not like bad, just kind of slowly going at it until towards the middle. I think he really felt a little stronger in his writing, and then it definitely picked up. But like it doesn't take that long. A few pages in, you're kind of like, okay, setting. But then eventually he gets a little stronger, and it definitely picks up from there. And
exactly, because the first 100 pages, we could agree on that. It seems like the story could be a smaller story,
right?
Like them just falling in love in the cabin, and then just having the other gang, and just staying in Pennsylvania. I think they're at. Just staying, because he's from Connecticut,
right?
And then they go down
somewhere else, yeah.
So it's in Pennsylvania. So I thought the story was going to be smaller. I did not know it was going to end up all the way at a road trip adventure. It turns into road trip story.
Exactly. I think the worry that I had was we're also from the Walking Dead era. So it's like I was expecting like constant turmoil at every turn, and like just sad and like awful things happening. I'm just really glad that wasn't the case for the book.
Yes, like we're still young. We're not in spoiler territory. So if people are still listening, I think I could say it does end well. It's not like a Last of Us or Walking Dead. It's not. There's breaths of light throughout
Exactly.
the
It's not,
story.
that's what I mean, that it's not a constant sadness. Because I feel like stories like The
Yes.
Walking Dead, that's where they kind of go wrong for me personally. It's when it's just
Yeah.
constantly sad.
There is sadness, but there's a lot of pockets of happiness.
Yes.
And they mean, and
It,
not
it's
everything in the
balanced.
apocalypse is evil.
It's
It's balanced. It's perfectly balanced.
really balanced. Yeah,
Exactly.
because you get your moments of sad and then you get your moments of good stuff happening,
Of
especially
good
when it comes
levity.
to
Yeah.
Andrew and Jameson. Oh my God, they're so adorable.
Yes. Yes. Because I think that's where the book could have failed if it was through one person's perspective.
Yeah, that definitely
Yeah.
helped it.
Yeah,
Sure.
but since you do have both perspectives, it becomes fun. And since you're inside each of the boys' head, you know, because it could become like, the best way I could say it, like with my horrible like sayings, it's like, it's what I was scared of at first. It was going to be like a Pride and Prejudice thing,
Okay.
of like, where they don't do anything and they kiss at the very, very, very end, and that's how it ends. And I'm like, please don't let it be like, like keeping us strung up, like keeping us like tightrope. No, it has a good flow to it. But yeah, so at least the first 100 pages, we were scared of that, but then it starts picking up right when Andrew's leg heals, and they
Right.
decide to first go to airport.
Well, first,
because
remember they've been being watched in the house. Remember that one
right,
guy was
that's why they
watching them.
decide to
That's why they decided to leave. Yeah, because there was like that part was why I got a little afraid of the whole
because
Walking
we
Dead
got
scenario.
scared. We thought it was going to be like
Because
a
I
Walking
was
Dead. They
like,
were going
oh
to
God,
join.
this is gonna be like an annoying person that's gonna make them like do things that that part freaked me out a little bit. But okay, so we were at the part where we were talking about how Howard was kind of like being menacing to them. He'd been watching them for a while. So during the time that Andrew's leg is healing after Jameson fixed it because his mom taught him how to handle all those medical things, we found out that this Howard person has been watching them, and they have like a crew of them, I guess, like living nearby. And so he's kind of telling them like, oh, yeah, you can stay on this part of your land or whatever, it's your house, but you have to pay us taxes basically. So
yeah, which is the crops.
Right, so he like takes some of their food, he takes some of their supplies, and he's like, this is gonna come back with us. So then the kids decide, you know what? Well, there's nothing for us here anymore, and they're off. Well, actually, I think Andrew leaves first, right, and then Jameson follows him after.
Yeah, because Jameson's like, I'm gonna go crazy alone.
Right.
Yeah, which we'll find out later what happened to him and his mom.
Mm-hmm.
But how you call it? Andrew is also very adamant of going to I forgot what the place is called near the airport.
Where is it called? It was called Alexandria.
Alexandria. There we go, because that's another similarity to Walking Dead, because I think one of the places is called Alexandria. So it has like slight like 2% of Walking Dead. But yeah, so he has that, but Andrew just runs away, but then Jameson catches up because he doesn't want to be alone.
Right.
So they both don't want to be alone. But Andrew has to go. But what Jameson doesn't know is the Alexandria part. Well, he does know an address. He knows an address because he saw the little piece of paper. But they're going to an airport because of all the signs around, the state and stuff like that.
Like apparently something in Europe is like, yeah, you can come here and we'll be safe and things are going to be fine. And then so that's what they're heading towards.
Yeah, because the world did get it under control, but didn't get it under control. So, but we'll find out about that later when we get there. So that's when, like, what you were saying about the levities of the story is that when they finally do venture out, and with one of the first people we meet is an elderly woman, Henrietta. And then, we thought that was going to be bad, like she was going to kill them and stuff like that. But no, she ends up being, a kind little old lady in the apocalypse.
Yeah, she ends up really being a likable character for sure.
Really likable.
I really like.
And she's like, what, like 2 chapters?
I know, and I loved her. I was like, why can't we hang out with Henry? Why can't she come with us?
I know. I was like, you know what? I don't mind having a third character along. I love this Henry. Yeah. And then
Henry, we end up finding out from Henry that she has a daughter named Amy and that she lives in Florida, and she was about to have a baby, but she never got to, know if the daughter had the baby or even if they were alive because the phones went down, right?
Yeah. And then she was cleaning out her house as well to sell it. So it's like how, how a pandemic or quarantine and all of that could bring, a stop to everything.
Right.
So
what I liked about the journey was that it was just you had your ups and your downs, and I really like that. Sometimes it was just them going to a place to get more supplies, maybe running into someone and trying to like get away from them, but it was always like just about to kind of get your heart going, but then you'd kind of go, okay, it's not going to be so horrible that I'm worried they're going to die or something like that, right? So up until about like Henry. And I think at this point, right, we're seeing Andrew and Jameson kind of getting closer, and we find out that Andrew's a big like movie buff. He knows all of these movies, and throughout the time that they're spending all this time together, Andrew will tell him like, oh, this is a movie I watched, and he'll kind of like tell him the whole movie, right? And Jameson apparently never watched those movies. So I thought that was really sweet and something cute to bond over. So it would be just like Jameson would be listening to him kind of regale him with the movie and how it went from beginning to end.
Yeah. And in Andrew's perspective, he thinks Jameson is just a sweet himbo straight boy, Yeah, and then slowly Jameson is just, at first, it's just like, he doesn't want to be alone. He wants a friend. So, but that could change later on. But one thing I did like was that sometimes the danger they did get into, at least in the beginning of the book and slightly in the middle, it was unconventional, like fun ways of getting in danger, as in the sense of like after Henry, like right after Henry, it's a zoo that wasn't kept up on. So
Right.
all the animals escaped. So it was them and him learning, because the thing is, Jameson, he's scared to hunt and to shoot animals. Like even with his mother, we get a little bit of his origin with that. He wasn't able to like hunt properly because he was too scared of hurting, animals. And and then I did like that Bambi scene, a little deer. This was in the beginning of the book, slightly beginning. Where he's, they're running out of food, so he needs to kill a deer, but he just couldn't. And then him seeing the mother deer with the baby deer, like it was nice and symbolic. And I kind of like that with the, against the toxic masculinity and stuff like. Even though, girl, I would shoot a deer. I'll be like, I'm hungry. Okay, I'll be like, bless it, you're feeding me, but I can't. But I get it in there. We have to think though that they're like 15, 17.
Yeah, they're in
like
their
16,
teens,
17.
Right? Yeah, they're like 16. Yeah, so they're young.
Yeah.
So they've been through something, pretty major.
Yeah, and Jameson is like an only child, so he's more secluded and more,
right.
While Andrew's more social, city boy, Connecticut,
right. Yeah, we find out he had a family, he had a little sister and everything like that. Right. I think one scene that was fun, talking about unconventional, is the scene in the tunnel where they're going through like.
Oh my God! Yes. Oh
I was imagining that scene, and I'm like, I don't know how Andrew did that. I don't know how Andrew went to a tunnel where you started, like the water started slowly going up on you, and then all of a sudden you're in darkness in water, and with the flashlight, all you could see underneath the water is like dead bodies and cars.
I know, my God, that's going to be awesome in like TV or movie format, whatever they decide to adapt this. Oh my God, that scene was so good. I was like, oh my God. And especially that he's like, I think one of them actually tastes the water a little bit by accident, and like the description of that, and then I was like, yeah, it was. But you see how it's like, it's moments of danger or things, but it's not like they're mean.
It's not like there are some soul wrenching moments, but for the most part, it's just two kids on an adventure across.
Later on, we'll get there where it starts getting a little bit in the danger zone. But but at least it had great build up and great like chemistry moments and bonding. So when the tunnel was after the zoo or before the zoo, or that was in the beginning. I think that was at the beginning. Was that before Henry?
Let me see. Yeah, no, that was before Henry. That was just before Henry. So we
Got it.
meet Henry after the tunnel. Yeah.
Okay, and then we do the zoo and all of that, and
Yeah.
then that's
And
when
that scene, I think we also have that moment where they, I don't know if this is after or before Henry. The mannequin moment, was that after Henry or before Henry? I can't remember. Anyways, but yeah, so they beat Henry after that, yeah.
yeah, they meet Henry after that.
And I
They
think
go
Henry
to
like comes up behind them because they're walking like across the town. And she comes up behind them and they're like, oh, she's like, if I was gonna kill you, I would have done it from behind you or whatever.
exactly, and that's when we find out, she has a daughter in Florida. That will be the plot later on and stuff like that. And then the zoo animals, and then they finally get to Alexandria before the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so they get to Alexandria. That was one of the big moments, because me and you were kind of scared of Andrew's backstory. Yeah, because I thought, what was your original reaction of, like, you kind of knew he did something shady?
Yeah, I kind of had like he kind of, I think he stipples it out pretty well. Like there's little moments where you kind of get this vision of like, I guess he did something that is probably not so good. Like I thought to myself, like I think he killed somebody, and I had already been thinking like it's possible it could be like, it wasn't exactly done well, like he didn't do it because he had to. It was kind of like the way he needed to get to this place, the way he needed to tell them about their parents. It made me think like, okay, he did something and he's going for like kind of like to make himself feel better about it,
Better, yeah. What did you think of the actual reveal of what it was?
Well, I think I had told you that I ended up feeling a little like it was like it just didn't feel, I don't know, it didn't hit for me. Like
I get you. Okay.
I understood it. Like I understood why he did what he did. In a sense, a part of me feels like it was a little overkill. Like you kind of lost your mind there for a moment. But like obviously, I don't know how I would handle a situation like that in real life.
Yeah.
It just didn't feel like something like from what reading who Andrew is, what he's like, what he talks, how he talks. It didn't feel like something Andrew would do. So for me, it just didn't. It wasn't bad. I didn't hate it. It wasn't. There was too much gray area for me. It was too.
No, I get you. And then I remember you laughed when I told you this, but first we have to go to the explanation of what Andrew actually did, which was he met a family as he was walking from Connecticut to Pennsylvania. He met a family. It was like a husband and a wife, and they were going to Alexandria to meet up children or whatever. They were kind of cautious of each other, but because they were like searching a like convenience store or whatever.
Right.
And then they decide to sleep together, as in the sense of like not sexually, as in like, like bond. They were bonding because they saw that he was young, a teenager, and they were a family. Yeah. So in the middle of the night, this family, decides to rob Andrew of his food. But Andrew, in a hesitated state, he like gets into a fight with the father. Not his father, but the father person. And then they're fighting, and then a gun goes off. He accidentally kills, the father, that mother, that wife of that husband goes over to him, and she's like, what did you do? So he ends up killing her too. So he killed two people, but they were robbing him. So it is slightly justified, but it's accidental at the same time. But I guess the gripe you had is like, why this whole trip to Alexandria to like tell the children of these parents that he killed his parents? It's like a redemption. But it's like, at the same time, it was an accident. It's weird. And then the thing is, when he finally confesses this to Jameson, and Jameson is like trying to console him and be like, you did what you had to do. That doesn't make you a bad person. I know you, Andrew, from this little time. I know you. You're not a bad person. So, for you, it rang a little bit false as in that origin backstory. Me too, a little bit. What I didn't get is the fixation with burying the family, because they go to Alexandria and the whole family's dead. So it's like he doesn't really have like a closure kind of, right. But he decides to bury that family, not the family he killed all the way back there, their family, into the backyard or whatever. And I'm like, he didn't even bury his sister because he couldn't. Like, he buries the strange family. That was my disconnect.
Right.
That's what made you laugh.
It seemed to have like this huge connection
Fixation.
with people that he barely knew, and like his own family just left them there.
Maybe it's because me and you, to my knowledge, have never killed anyone. So we don't know what would go in a young person, 16, 17-year-old's mind that you killed two
That's
people.
what I was trying to say earlier.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. That at the same time, I don't know what it would be like if I'm like hungry, I want my food, and this person is taking it from me. I very well could go into a full rage and like start murdering people. You never know, you know. It didn't feel true to Andrew's character for me, but it didn't not feel true either, because like I said, it could happen.
Exactly, it could happen.
Despite
it wasn't
what you think. Yeah,
it didn't disconnect us fully from the story to stop reading or anything. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad.
It was just a moment of like, okay, I guess, and then you just kept going, you know, from there. Definitely.
Yeah, and then that's when they go back to the airport.
Right. I was kind of sad that we didn't get an end story to the brother with the little siblings. I was a little
the little siblings. Yeah.
I kind of like them enough to say, like, I wonder what happened to them, you know? I wonder what, like, where they went, like, what happened, because they were living, like, what? I didn't understand that part. Maybe you could explain it to me, but were they living in a plane or something like that? Is that what they were doing?
They were living in the plane, yes, because the due date was June 10th or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't believe I still remember that. I don't remember some of the characters' names from the beginning, but I remember the date of when. Oh my god!
Yeah, it was June 10th. Yeah.
Yeah, it was June 10th. I remember because they repeated several times of being like, "What if it's like, because it's the UK saving us? What if it's October 6th?
Yeah. What if it's October 6th instead of
yeah, exactly. That's why it stuck in my. That's why it stuck in my mind. And then October is my birthday, and then the reverse would be my birthday. So like that's why I probably remembered. Right. But yeah, they were living in the plane, and they felt like also telling people that, you know, there's no help coming because they found the manifest of that one.
Right, you know. There was that one like dead person that was there, but they had like a notebook, right, that had like a bunch of information about like what happened.
Yeah, it felt very video game-ish, like an audio log.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool though. I actually enjoyed that part. I really enjoyed the scene where he meets them and he kind of gets an idea of what happened, how there's no help coming. Like, you kind of just left, like, you realize at that point that nothing is going well anywhere.
Yeah, because every succession died as in like president, vice president, secretary. Like, so it went all the way down to that one guy.
So
and then that guy died too.
Essentially, at this point, civilization as we know it is just kaput. It's not the same anymore. It's all just
now, Heather,
a lot.
Would you consider that a negative? We could go into that a little bit. Would you consider that a negative of the book or a positive of that we only get pockets of what the apocalypse was like?
Yeah, I don't mind it too much because I think it's
neither.
I think what helped is that it comes in the aftermath of our own little pandemic, you know,
of COVID.
As mild as it was, right? Nothing compared to this, but as mild as it was, we got a little bit of like a pocket, like an understanding of what it was like to have to close down, be locked in your home, wait for things to happen, right? And wait for news and all that stuff. So we kind of got a little bit of that. I think it helped that we had already gone through a pandemic for that not to be a problem.
Exactly. So that we already could relate to it in that sense.
Like he does a good job of kind of weaving in what happened during COVID to make us understand why during the super flu things went wrong, you know?
Yeah.
I think it doesn't
I
don't think it was bad. I think it was fun.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I guess
little glimpses, yeah,
at the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It happened, and then but we get little pockets of like
because in the airport we got that to be intrigued, right?
yeah, where I'm like, like where they could do like an origin story.
Yeah,
But
like if he were to go
yeah,
back and like they decide to write like what happened during the whole thing, like that would be fun. But I think
no,
if
because
this is
later
enough that
on,
you know what
it's
happened.
because later on, what
Yeah.
confused me was what confused me was the bird scene in where they get excited because they hear a bird, and then they're
Right,
like, oh my
because
god,
it
because
was an
all the
avian flu that it was an avian flu, so all the birds I guess had died out.
for some reason I was because they were mentioning COVID a lot. I was
Yeah.
thinking it was like, you know, it
Oh
was
yeah,
something else and not a bird.
it wasn't yeah,
Yeah,
it was an avian flu. So I
that's
think that
why I
was
would
really
say
good.
not negative, but just a slight negative. I would give it as in the sense of that confused me, but it's not that like important. But like when they were hearing birds and getting excited, I'm like, oh, there were no birds in this world. Like birds were dying out too, because I don't remember them establishing that in the beginning of the book.
No,
But you could correct me.
yeah,
They
no, he does. He says it. He says that it was like a bird flu thing, and that all the birds just started. Like he kind of like doesn't explain it exactly like that, but you're kind of supposed to
maybe
gather.
it's too quick. Maybe it
Yeah,
was like
I
a
think it
line or
could
two.
be, or it just could be that you're supposed to kind of gather. You're supposed to infer like it's a bird flu, and there's no talk of birds chirping and stuff like that. Like we just know that birds are not big anymore as they were, you know.
Yeah.
Because obviously like a lot of the times the character walks out in the morning and you hear birds chirping and stuff like that, but throughout the story you don't get any kind of reference to that. It's mostly quiet. You get a lot of like it's silent for the most part.
Yeah.
So I think you're supposed to infer that, and that might be confusing, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah.
he could do a little more with explaining that part. I think that would be helpful. I don't think it's I don't think it wasn't confusing for me, so I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it just
And
depends, I guess. But he could
no,
have
I get you.
explained it a little more for sure. I can
Well,
see.
yeah, I get you. And then this is where we go to the halfway point of after no help is coming, is where the book goes now that they're going to go to Florida for Henry's daughter. They're like, might as well find some purpose in this apocalypse,
Right, like
you know.
let's do something because what else can
Let's do
we do?
something.
What else
Even
can
though I
we
would have
do,
been like, let's
right?
go back to Henry. I would have been like, let's go back to Henry and just stay over there, even though we have to pass the zoo again. Uh, but yeah, how you call it? So they keep going south. That's the mannequin. That's where it gets a little bit horror that I got excited. That's when we get that one night because it's gonna storm or something. They go into like
Right, they
like
hide in like
a
a town.
plaza.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
Yeah, so then Andrew's like freaking out and screaming and all, and then Jameson is like, "It's a mannequin." Like, but then later on that night, how funny! Later on that night, um,
There's a guy with
Jameson
an
is
axe.
doing. There's an actual guy with an axe.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
like
but he
whistling.
never tells
Like, yeah,
Andrew. He never tells Andrew, and he goes through that whole entire. That scene was so freaky. I was like
yeah, it
holding my
was
breath
fun.
the whole
Yeah,
time.
like that. There were moments of
Oh my
fun
god!
where it was like, I think that's what I really liked about it is that there were moments of
Yes.
like sad stuff happening or scary stuff happening, but it wasn't so intense and like gut wrenching. You know, it was just like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Like it was fun. And I think
Yes.
he did
Yeah.
that really well. I had a lot of fun with
Yeah.
those parts.
And then that's when you start getting a little well, no, you get it with the zoo animals too, that he did anything to protect Andrew. That
Yes,
where you
with the
start
zoo
seeing
animals. Yeah,
Jameson.
I think with the zoo animals, when you really start to see like he's just like at this point, like I have to keep Andrew from getting hurt. Like I'm gonna do
Yeah.
whatever it takes because even when the lions are coming, he tells Andrew like, "Run, get out of here," you know. And he's
Yeah. Because
behind.
this is what I call the Pride and Prejudice syndrome of where the characters are hiding all these feelings inside. So, it's a slow burn. It's a slow burn. They haven't kissed, they haven't acknowledged anything.
So
But
slow.
now, yes, no, it is. I get you. But it does pay off. As a
Uh,
queer person, it does pay off. So I'll give readers that. It's not like they never kiss, because that I do hate. If in the book they never ever will get there.
I have my qualms.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that for now. I have my qualms with Jameson and Andrew.
Yeah. So they move further south, and after that rainy night or whatever, and then that's when they end up in Fort Carolina, right?
Yeah, Fort Carolina.
No, fireworks. It's the 4th of July.
The fireworks, right? They noticed that all of a sudden there's fireworks. Oh my God, it's the 4th of July. So they've been traveling from that time in June to the 4th of July. They've been walking. They got to Fort Carolina.
Yes, and then they meet a group of people there, and they see children, they see people. They're like, "Oh my God, civilization!"
Automatically, when Jameson wanted to go meet these people, I said, "No, don't do it." I literally said, "No, don't do it" to the book.
Yes,
I know. Don't do it. This is gonna be the end of it all.
You know why? You know why I was opposite? You know why I was opposite? Because all the opposition was like animals and one random crazy axe guy, and then Henry was positive. So I thought this group was gonna be positive too.
I knew it. As soon as Jameson said, "Let's go hang out with them,"
I'm like, "Yay! We're gonna meet another happy group. We're gonna meet another happy group and make new friends." Because also the kids living in the airport was happy too. They were evil.
This is where you and I are total opposites, because you would be excited to meet other people and I would be, no, let's not meet anybody. Let's keep going.
Yeah, no, but it was 2 for 2 that it was positive. It was the kids living in the airport, and then Henry, the old lady in the zoo.
This is where introversion would have won. Okay? It would have saved us. My introversion would have saved us. Okay.
But yeah, but I don't know if, because they finally go to Fort Carolina. They see the fireworks or whatever. They end up, it's not a camp, but what do you call it? But it's some form of civilization. So how you call it? They get a hotel room. They're like an abandoned apartment thing where they could sleep and stay at, and then for the night and stuff like that. And then that's when you start feeling a little bit weird, because they want to separate them. I
started from the fireworks, but that's fine.
Yeah, but that could also be interpreted in a queer way of like, you know, 2 men can't share a room together.
Oh, yeah, that was when you knew, like, I think at that point was when you knew something bad was gonna happen, because you're like, okay, there's like that weird hint of like they can't sleep in the same room for some reason, and it was like, okay, these are not gonna be good people. I had already felt it.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's when we meet Kara, the secretary, and she seems off-puttish.
Mousy. She's very mousy and like doesn't want to talk. It doesn't really look anybody in the eye. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where Jameson gets more flashbacks, and then we find out that he had to. His mother was very sick with this bird flu, and asked him to kill her.
Right.
And you know, that's, oh my God, I would never do that to my child. I would never do that. Like, I cannot.
It explains it. He explains it away though, because he does say at that point the flu has like she's been feverish for days, that she's delirious.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what is going on anymore, so she's begging him to kill her because she has nothing to deal with but the pain and the suffering. And like, I guess, you know, it made sense to me, even though obviously you wouldn't want to put your child through that, but at some point the suffering would get to anybody, I think, and you'd beg to be, you know, killed. You know, it really reminded me of like Dumbledore with the potion, the basin. Like, kill me, you know, kill me, Harry.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I know, but I just felt bad for him, because it's like, oh my God,
it was sad. I can't imagine.
Yeah, and then there's no power. There's no power in this apartment, so he's getting the flashbacks.
Like a panic attack.
Yeah. So that's when he goes to Andrew's room, and I'm like, Andrew still thinks this motherfucker is straight. I'm like, I can't with these boys. I'm like, oh my God, but they don't do anything. And, you know, it's just really sweet. It's like,
it was for comfort.
Yeah, that's one thing I appreciated, that they didn't go there, because with an unexperienced weird writer, it could be fan fiction of like, ooh, we tried to touch each other. It was the wrong moment to do any of that.
No, yeah,
that would be, yeah.
It was done gently.
It's done really, really well. It's not like a smut, you know, type story. But they get the tour of Fort Carolina. You know what scared me the most of Fort Carolina? other than kind of them being like, the number one thing was kind of being white supremacists, because they didn't see any people of color.
Right, yeah.
So that was
like
already
one of the
concerned.
things that like I think Andrew and Jameson kind of like really noticed.
Yes,
Like, there's no other
because
people of color here.
before their pandemic, Carolina is predominantly Black. So
Right.
they're like, why all of a sudden is it all white when this section of town used to be owned all Black owned?
Right.
So that was
Just in
already
general,
concerned.
like throughout the story, there's mixes. Even with Howard and the bad guys at the beginning,
Yeah,
there were different colored people. You know, it was white people, it was Black people. There was different colors. So like
yeah,
here, there was a total like, you know, it was different. It was like, oh crap, there's no
yeah.
one here,
But
but
but it's funny. What scared me more than the racism is at least I was like, okay, maybe there wasn't any Black people, you know, maybe. But the burning of the books or the like gutting the library, because you know me and you love
it
books.
hits too close to home because of what's happening now, right?
I
Like
know they're like,
bans all over the country of certain books, and so it was like oh my god, like this is so too close to home, buddy, too close. Like
yes.
don't do that.
But first is the racism. Second is the book burning. But you know, I was like, oh my god. I was like, but I was laughing to myself because I'm like, once it was the book burning, I was like, we gotta get out of here. We gotta get out of here. I was like, oh my god, and they took their stuff. So they I love that. I love that because the chapters, you don't know what each is feeling.
Mhm.
So you get Andrew's perspective first, and he's
Right.
really scared of this town, but still
Yeah.
thinking that Jameson is straight. He's
Right.
not going to
Yeah.
feel
Yeah,
all these
or he
things.
thinks that he wants to stay there. Like Andrew's thinking to himself, well, maybe Jameson will like this place, and maybe I'm the one
Exactly.
to go. Right.
And that's when Jameson says my favorite line in Andrew's chapter at the
Right.
end, like, we gotta fucking get
We
out of
gotta
here.
get the
So
fuck
they're on
out
the
of
same
here.
page.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're on the same. That made me so happy that they were on the same page, you know. And I'm like, oh my god. So it's them planning,
Yeah,
and then that's when
he goes at the end, but he speaks first. We have to get the fuck out of here.
we have to go. Oh, so I got the line exact. You see, I love it. It was so good. I was like, whoa. I'm like, this is where it heats up. I'm like, oh my god. So that's when we meet Kara, and we understand that
now
she's
with Kara. We already met her, but we kind of see that she's not so entwined with everybody else as she seems.
At first, I thought she was like a queer person,
Right.
like in hiding as well, like having to hide her true self. But no, it's just, I guess it was just that she was, just doesn't like them.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
you end up no. You end up finding out like why she kind of doesn't like them, right?
Yeah. What was it again that she didn't like them? It was something with her family, no?
They killed her family. Yeah. That's what I understood. I don't know. You got something.
I do remember it vaguely.
Yeah.
That they didn't care that her family died.
No, I think they killed her family. I think it's insinuated because of the burning hospital and everything like that. Remember, she was afraid of burning buildings and stuff like that.
Oh, right. Yes.
I think
what I
understood, what I inferred is that they did something to the people she knew in her town, and they burned them alive basically to kind of either get their supplies or whatever, and then kind of forced Kara to join them because
it makes way more sense now.
Yeah, because of the fact that you remember she's good at maps and they needed her for that. Remember?
Yes, that's why Jameson and Andrew seek for her help.
She's basically forced to be there. She didn't want to be there.
Yeah, and they're super nationalists. They're celebrating 4th of July for the 4th day in a row.
Right.
I'm like, girl, 4th of July, not that to be celebrated so many days. But so that's when they're going to plan their escape, but they're going to try to get their money, their bag and weapons back.
Yeah,
so
they end up asking Kara for help. Yeah, so we end up finding out that Kara's actually I think Kara might have been a little autistic. If you don't, I think that there might have been an idea of that because of the fact that she was so one, she wasn't comfortable talking to people, and then two, she had that very niche interest when it came to like knowing about maps and stuff like that, and
I get what you're
books,
saying.
like,
Oh, you see
know,
what it's good about talking to
yeah,
another person with it, because now I see it in a whole new light. I
yeah.
just thought that she was like not gothic, but she
I mean,
was
she
just like a
could be.
rocker
I could
chick.
be reading into it,
Like she was
obviously.
just like that.
Yeah,
She was introverted.
right,
I took it
yeah,
as she was introverted, and she
yeah.
was like gothic, like
I
a
could
rocker
be
chick.
reading into it, obviously. I mean, it's never said or anything. Just for me, when I think of people who are artistic, they remind me of someone who is like Kara,
No,
very
it
quiet,
makes total
but she
more
has this
sense.
really like deep interest in, like she learned from her family, obviously her father, I believe she says it at one point, but she then learns how to like navigate, and she can kind of basically from memory tell you exactly where to go based off of all the maps in the area. That's why she was so useful to them, because she was good at that. So to me, I felt that way about her. It explained away why she was so difficult. Because remember, I told you that with Kara, I liked her, but I also kind of didn't.
Yeah, because at first she comes out as like,
yeah.
At first I thought she was like a preppy bitch. I have to find a better word, but you know what? I thought she was like just like this, and
Right. I found her personally annoying because I was a little like, why are you being so weird with these two like people?
yeah.
I
But
understand being weird
she
with everyone
grows.
else, yeah, but she does grow on
Yeah,
you for sure. Once you
yeah,
understand her, you understand her background, she grows on you. She becomes.
exactly, and
It makes sense why she's like that.
especially Andrew's point of view, because
Right.
Andrew's like, she's one of us. She's
Right.
different. She's
Exactly. Because Jameson
yeah,
was a little hard on her. He was a little
was
like,
hard on her.
which reminded me
Exactly.
of myself because I understood Jameson a little bit because I was like, all right, Kara, get it together.
Yeah.
But then you do feel bad for her, obviously, when you learn a little bit of her background.
Yeah. Now, before we leave this section, because I think we're going too long on this section, we do have to establish that the mayor has a son, and the son is kind of slightly homophobic, quietly homophobic to them, kind of. So we need to like. No,
I think he kept thinking like, "Oh, your friend," and I think
your friend.
like, "Oh, I
No,
heard that the other F word in that," and so and
yeah.
he was a little like, I can hear what you're trying to say, basically. So he was really like hitting it home, like, I know what you two are doing,
Exactly. So they Andrew and Jameson escape. They were able to get their stuff back, which we could touch lightly on those things of the like how they're making it into socialism, and how like each person has a number and by class or whatever to go grocery shopping to get this thing. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And
I found it a little convenient though, because of the fact that everybody is so like, I don't know. I guess for me, it was a little too convenient. Some certain things, like you'd think that they'd be a little more weary of outsiders, but a lot of the time it was just like Jameson would explain something, and then the person would be like, well, okay, I guess that's right. And then she'd go ahead and like give them all their stuff back. It was a little like convenient. There were some times where I was like, you're just going to give them stuff that you don't even know these people. You would think they're more tight knit than that.
It's because I'm guessing, since it's established that like Jameson is like blondish blue eyes, and then it's automatic trust for them. Maybe there's that subtext.
Yeah, I can see that.
While inside, these two teenagers are woke.
Right,
but
they
don't give. Exactly. So how you call it? Because it's even established with Jameson's mom.
I just felt like
he
they
was
were
more
too
liberalish.
Two people that
I get you,
never seen before.
But it goes to show that everybody was desperate, because 99.9% of the world is gone. So it's like they need hands to like build things.
We need these people to stay here for sure.
Yeah. So they end up escaping, and then
Kara builds them like that map, right? That sends them away from the camp. Like she basically like a detour
to Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that when they skinny dip?
Yeah, after that is when they end up like going through some places, and then they finally end up in the water where they're gonna take a shower or whatever to rest.
And that's when I had mentioned earlier about the bird, and how you call it, how they hear the bird for the first time. It's a sweet moment where they're like, oh my god, we hear the bird.
Yes, but then it's another billionth won't they moment.
Yes, and it's interrupted, Heather. It's interrupted.
I was so mad at that point. I said, you don't understand. There are so many of them at this point. This is the part, like, it was not cute, right? It was cute. I'm not gonna take it away. I loved it. I thought it was super sweet. I was already like, oh my god, are they gonna? But Jesus, hell, this is like the 15th will they won't they moment. It happened so many times at this point that I was losing my mind.
Me too. Me too. And I laughed. I didn't laugh because the scene that follows is really intense.
Yes.
But I was like, oh my god, interrupted yet again.
I was like, if I was there, I would have just shot him already. Oh,
but that's when the homophobic son of the mayor,
he had followed them. Yeah,
he had followed them, so he enters the scene with a henchman.
Yeah, because at this point, right, they think that Kara was the one who told them and all this stuff, but it was really, you end up finding out that they had already made Kara like find all of the places near them, and they went further in. I think it was like close to Florida already. They had already had all these places kind of like sequestered, right? Like, we know what's happening in these places. We know we've already taken everything we could from these places. So honestly, it was
that's when you as a reader are like, did Kara sell them out?
Yeah.
Is Kara evil? Yeah. But we'll find out later what she is. Yeah. But how you call it? But that scene was so intense. I was like, oh my god. And then she so sad.
So mad.
Yes. And then so they go into a kerfuffle of like fighting, right? Because Jamin said they're skinny dipping. So he gets off like gets up naked. I don't know how they're gonna film that scene when they do it at the adaptation. But because he keeps using the friend lines, insinuating he's saying the other F word.
Right.
But how you call it? So they get into a fight, but I remembered. I'm like, they weren't able to get the bullets back.
Right.
So
they
I'm like,
one gun with bullets and the other one was empty, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So how you call it? So the gun that guy had, that he got the sniper gun from that guy, didn't have bullets. So I was like, they're gonna survive. I got heart wrenched and I was scared that one of them was gonna die. But I was like, no, because I remembered, I'm like, they couldn't get the bullets and he's holding Jameson's rifle. Right. So I'm like, that doesn't have any bullets. So he gets the handgun. He ends up killing the racist guy. I love it that we don't remember his name. We don't remember. We're not gonna give you a name, bitch. But yeah, he ends up killing him.
He ends up killing him and wounds the other one, but the other one was able to escape.
But escapes, and I'm like, oh no. Now they're gonna. Now this is when I started getting scared, because I'm like, this is gonna turn into Walking Dead, where this village, it's gonna start hunting them. So that's when we meet Kara, and she's actually a good person.
We end up finding out that at this point, Jameson kind of scares her because he's kind of being a jerk to her. But you end up finding out that she's, she actually was trying to escape herself.
Yeah. So now it become that I got scared because I'm like, damn it, because the will they won't they, they're alone. So now they have a third wheel and it's a girl, and I'm like, damn that.
But it was so fun though. I liked it because then Carol was like, okay guys, are you not seeing what I'm seeing?
Carol was the you. She was the you. Like, you guys don't see it? Oh my god, I can't with you too.
Would you just tell them already? What the hell?
Yeah, so it's a little bit. Like,
thank you, Kara.
Yeah. So that's when we go to the next scene. It's them hanging out for a bit, getting to know each other. Kara has a bicycle, and stuff like that. They're getting food together, shopping in the many places, the abandoned places.
You meet that group of people that weren't very nice, but the one girl was like, okay, I'm gonna keep watch. You guys need to get out of here because if they catch you, like, this isn't gonna end well. Remember that?
Yes.
Shoe store. They were trying to find shoes.
Yeah, they were trying to find shoes. They're like, we have worn out shoes. We're just trying to find shoes.
Yeah, but then that girl was like, all right, take what you gotta get, but then get out of here because I have people out there that aren't gonna like you guys.
Yeah, that's the only gripe. Not gripe. It's weird to explain, Heather, because like it's really, really weird. But I guess it's because we're having a role reversal. This is nuanced, what I'm about to say, but it's it's just an observation. Maybe it's a role reversal of how back then blacks or women or stuff like that, minorities were the evil, or people of color were the evil characters in movies, media, and all of that. So now there's a role reversal in where all the characters in the book that are kind and good and everything happen to be people of color or women.
Right.
And then now it's the white man who's bad.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that, but I could see why a person might interpret it that way a little bit. But it's because we also have to go with history of like, it's been like this so long that the role reversal, we need to show the other side as good as well.
Right.
Like it can't, but I don't know if you noticed that with the book as well.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, like if another reader who was like, why is it just white people that are evil? Like if somebody could, it's very nuanced.
Right.
Me, I don't mind it because, there's role reversal and it's like, and then plus
right,
we do end up
right.
But then at the end, no, because they're Hispanic, right?
Ooh.
So there's the people in Florida. This is a little spoiler.
No, there was a mix. There was a good mix. There were white people.
No, there was that's
people.
exactly.
It was
exactly. So there, at the end of the day, there is good white people.
Right.
So that's why I didn't find too much of a problem
in Florida,
with it.
Of all places.
I know, in Florida of all places. I was like, no, but it's South Florida, girl, so it is believable. Because South Florida, where it's more liberal / blue. Exactly. No, and then the Keys is gay as fuck. You know that. So I'm like, they're gonna find like gay pride parade when they get there. I was already getting, but me, I was telling you, I'm like, I would not go to Florida, girl, not knowing when hurricanes are coming. Hell no. Oh no.
Although I will say that the part with the shoes, the girl who helps them was a black girl though. But I don't know if they reference. She doesn't really say who's outside, so we don't really know.
No, but that's what I'm saying. The people who are kind and who are nice.
You get a sense of who she is, the girl, but like her group of people, we don't know what they look like. She's the reference is people that are outside that are keeping watch, and she's like, if you mix with them, the things are not going to go well, basically. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, and I think it does a good enough job with it that it's not.
It doesn't come up preachy.
Yeah, it's not so.
Yeah, it doesn't come up preachy. Yeah. But I could understand if another reader could slightly interpret it that way.
Yeah, you can kind of see it as like but then
yeah,
I get what you're saying. You can interpret it in a bad way, but I think he does it subtly enough that it's not so. It doesn't feel so tacky. It feels just like, well, it just happens.
Exactly. It's not like
And with the climate the way it is now, as people who are a little more,
and then the main characters are white,
right? Exactly.
So,
but then also, like I was saying, with the way the world is right now, and us being more liberal, and the type of people who would read the story is more liberal, I think more than likely they would see a connection as like this is reality. This is what would happen.
Yeah, it's exactly. But that's why there's pockets. Yeah, but there is pockets of happiness that it's not all.
Yeah.
It's not all.
It doesn't.
But you don't find out till the end, though, because the two antagonists happen to be white at first, and then all and then all the good. Yeah, it's very weird at first. But then
we're coming to the point where my love for their love relationship kind of hits like a wall for me. Not in a super bad way. I still liked it. It was just anticlimactic for me.
Oh no, I loved it. If it's the scene we're talking about, that happens first.
So we end up they end up going off into like the woods or something like that, right?
Yes. And then Andrew goes to pee.
I think Andrew goes to pee. We learn a little bit about Kara's background. We learn more.
Yes, her backstory. They like her now. Jameson is finally turning a new leaf with her.
This is when Kara goes to Jameson. Go talk to him.
Go talk to him. You guys love each other and you're not fucking seeing that. Like, get over it. Yeah. So when he finally is about to confess his love, Jameson finally is going to do it because life is short. They almost die. So he's going to.
Will they, won't they scene.
Yes. But then I'm like, damn, Andrew's taking really long to take a piss. And this is me in the back of my head. And then Andrew is being held by one of the people. And then
Yeah, from the
And
Fort
then the
Carolina.
two guy, Kara stepped away for her to be, because this is important, as in the sense that, you know, she's not in the picture because she
Right.
went to walk away. So I'm like, in the back of my head,
Her the gun. The one
exactly.
that
She
had
also
the
has the
bullet.
gun.
He told her
Yeah,
go
so
over
she
there
has
and
the,
like keep watch or whatever, right?
because she wanted to give them privacy for them to confess their love. So, but they're handcuffed with ties or whatever.
Yeah, the zip ties. So they're zip tied their
The
hands.
zip ties. With Henry gave them a parting gift, which was a pocket knife with the initials of the father of the woman they might meet in Florida, because that's important too.
Right.
But have you seen The Last Guardian? Is that the Netflix movie and based on the comic books? Have you seen it? Oh, because that scene is super duper similar, and that's why I loved it too. Of them like confessing, because Jameson finally confesses his love to him as they're handcuffed, they're about to die, you know, about to get killed. They're just waiting for the mayor and the big people from the town. Yeah,
they've
that's when
been
we
taken by the Fort Carolina people. They found them.
Fort Caroline.
They're being held against their will. They're being, you know, they got zip tied and, you know, basically like, we're gonna kill you guys because you killed the son of the mayor.
Yeah. So what didn't you like about the scene though?
It was anticlimactic for me. It was just like, I guess because at this point we've had a billion will they won't they's, right? We've already hit so many. We already know that these two kids like each other. It's established fully at this point. And then the one time Jameson finally goes to kiss him, like it's like this horrible moment. It's just like a horrible, like horror is happening. And so for me, it was like, when I think of like, I guess for me, this is just my own personal take, but for me, when I think of passion, when I think of like romance, it's like, I don't know, it's not, it's more passionate. So in this moment, it didn't feel that way to me. I don't know how to describe it other than it was anticlimactic. It was like, I'm happy it happened. I'm excited they kissed. It's just, I wish it had been under different circumstances.
I would be totally lying if I said that I loved it, because a tiny piece of me, you know, being queer myself and gay, I was like, the author better, because the author is gay too. I'm like, he better not kill one of them, because, you know, at this point I'm into my gay media. I'm like, I don't want sad endings.
Yes.
Because everything in the beginning of our lives, Heather, you know that gay movies, it's always sad. Exactly. So, and especially for queer content, we don't want sadness.
No,
we don't want sadness. So I had. But I'm like, he's not gonna kill them. He's not gonna kill. I mean, I got into self denial. I was hyperventilating in that scene, crying too. I was crying so much. I know, right? Me too. I told you that.
I think if he does. I think there was one chapter where he kind of like plays with you a little bit, right? Because it starts with just Tara and Andrew, and you're like, wait, where's Jameson? What happened to him? Like, where is he?
Yes. So in the horror,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and the whole kerfuffle, Jameson does end up getting shot. But in my denial, I'm like, no, they're gonna heal him. No, he's not gonna die. No, like, oh. And then you start getting more Andrew chapters than you do Jameson, because Jameson is like in and out, and they're still trying to find antibiotics to help him with his, you know, wounds. But we could go a little bit back really quick. Just the mayor's son is dead, and then they got the henchman also end up dying a little bit later on, and then we find out that mayor guy, he's important, but he's not the top honcho of Fort Caroline. So Fort Caroline is like, we need to end this vendetta. We've already lost a bunch of people. Like, these two boys are not worth it.
That part was a little iffy for me too. It was a little too convenient for me.
I get what you're saying.
This whole thing, you guys.
But at the same thing, though, it made me.
No, I mean, I was happy about it. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I didn't dislike it. It was just kind of like, after all of this, you guys are just gonna be like, all right, well, you know what? Never mind. I'm not gonna keep.
I know, because technically, what, Heather? They traveled 3 states down or
saying
two.
You already did it, and now you're just gonna turn back. Like you're just like, oh well, you know what? We wasted all this resources, so I might as well just turn around and go back home.
No, because I think Kara turns into a badass that scene. She does kill multiple people, and then Alex, Andrew, and Jameson, they make it seem like they have a group of others. So I think that's what scared them a bit, because they hadn't gotten that much south.
Okay, I don't
so they were already in uncharted territory where there was more cars and more wild people around. So they were kind of scared that maybe, they're like, okay, we haven't gone this deep. Like, let's back away. We've already traveled 3 states. It was a slightly bit believable, but I get you. It was convenient, but girl, was I able to breathe.
Yeah, no, it was good. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not happy about it. It just felt a little too convenient. I was like, all right, you guys wasted all this time and all this energy, and you're like, you know what? Never mind. Let's just go back.
Yeah, but it was a little bit believable the way he kind of.
No,
yeah, but I get you.
That he was officially the guy that was like calling the shots, and you're like, all right, Mayor.
Yeah.
Like, this is over with. Like, we get it. Your son's dead. It's sad for you, but we got to get back. So yeah, you do get a sense of like the mayor isn't so up high as he thought he was, which gives you an idea of what
the hierarchy and all of that.
Yeah, the hierarchy, but just what the town was going through. They had this like
classes, class system. Yeah, even with the socialism, even with the socialism, it's what classism within it.
Sexism as well. You had your men were more important, and the women had the kind of off. Like
doing laundry for the men and cooking. Exactly. I'm like, God. Yeah. So they left, and then it's them going to Florida trying.
Back and forth with, oh my God, Jameson is suffering. He might die. We don't know what's gonna happen to him. And
that's when I was like, he might actually die.
Yeah.
I was getting nervous. I was getting real nervous. And I'm like, what if a hurricane hits in Florida?
They finally get to the Keys.
Yes. Oh my God, they finally get to the Keys. And then Jameson.
Was it like, I guess the where you think that they meet them is like before the 7 Mile Bridge or something like that.
Yes. Yeah. That's one thing I love. We don't live in the Keys, but we know the Keys. So the way he was describing everything and the way it was blocked off, I'm like, yes, you could kind of make the Keys into islands and it would be hard to infiltrate.
Exactly.
Oh, that's smart. That's smart.
Where you hit where the bridge is at. You put a big gate there to kind of stop people from coming in, and you're blocked off.
That's it. You're blocked off. Yeah, but girl, the flooding during hurricanes, like you can't live in the Keys after a hurricane, even if it's a Category 1. So that was all that was going behind my mind. I'm like, but it is true, because the daughter of Henry is like, oh, it's hurricane season, but it's a good one. Right. It's been a few years that we haven't gotten a bad one, which that is true. Is usually we get bad ones every 8 to 10 years. It's a decade thing where we get like a really bad, like for example,
we have moments of just like scares, rain, but it hasn't in a bit gotten so bad lately.
No, but we do get bad.
Bad. We'll get like a one moment that's like super bad, and then it's lulled after that, and then it comes back later. Yeah.
Yeah, so I can understand that. The way she said it was like, it makes sense. And plus, we have survived hurricanes. It's like we have very, yeah. Yeah, so it's like, it's because not knowing when they're coming. Sorry that I'm spending so much time on the hurricanes. It's just that was my biggest fear, because
it's true.
But yeah, because I wouldn't go up because I hate cold.
Hurricanes are at the top.
Yes. So, but I get it. It would be safer than tornadoes and cold.
Right. And so then at this point, like, they end up at this place where they find out that it's blocked off, and they end up being able to get help there. And so they actually end up saving Jameson's life.
And it's a good system. Yeah, they all work together.
It's opposite from Fort Caroline.
Less,
like a tacky. It's just like a general, like, okay, we're gonna help you, but like, we need.
It felt back to it felt back to normal again.
Yes, it felt back to like normal. People were doing it the nice way.
Yeah, because Fort Caroline wasn't as big, as this one, because this one had even multiple children. It had houses full of people.
Yeah,
Like, so they're like,
that was the
wow.
thing that we didn't say about Fort Carolina, was that they noticed that there weren't any old people, any sick people.
Oh, any sick people. So I guess they get rid of
young, healthy, white American people.
Yeah.
So at this
oh my
place,
God.
it was the opposite. You saw children, you saw older people.
It was community.
Clinic to help as a community. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And then that's when we get the wind down and we get like the happy ending.
I think they ended up, I think I was reading here, they ended up south of Key Largo. So they ended up in Key Largo.
Yeah. And how you call it, Jameson finally heals and they're like kissing at the beach and stuff like that.
See,
and
that's
I'm like,
why for me
oh,
it felt so anticlimactic. I was like,
I loved it.
Kind of sad.
What I didn't like was the epilogue.
Yes. Thank you.
Because they're like, we need to leave.
Thank you.
I was like, they should have just left it at the kissing at the beach and then just have it like open ended.
Yeah,
but this
and the good thing, we skipped over the part that they met Amy, Henry's daughter, and they gave
they met Henry's daughters, right? They gave her Henry.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's kind of foreshadowing a little bit that they might go save Henry.
Yes, yeah.
Because she lives in the coast.
I think that's what you had said, that the epilogue kind of sets it up where maybe there could be more to the series. Like it could be a series.
Yes, that it's gonna be like a saga.
Yeah.
Yeah, or more stories, which I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if it stayed here. Like if this was the only book, I wouldn't hate it. I would think that this was really nice. If they decided to go off into a series, I probably would read that too, though.
The epilogue is what pushes it more into sequel territory. Yeah. That's why I think the epilogue slightly fails.
Yeah, but it's also not only just that, but also like Andrew himself and like the way that, I don't know, I guess it was hard for me because I was like, are we saying that Andrew is a bad guy? Like, how is this ending? It didn't make sense to me because it felt a little bit like, I don't know if you remember that conversation he had with Amy. It was like, well, did you kill people? Was it for a good reason? You know, it felt a little bit like the author himself was hinting that Andrew didn't do it, like was bad because of that. I don't know if you picked that up, but that's how I felt about it. So it felt a little wishy-washy to me. Just a little.
Yeah, like, I get what you're. I get.
Like, are you saying he's a bad guy, or is like he's like hating on himself? And that conversation with Amy made me a little confused.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. The epilogue was too much added on. It was like it was too over all over the place, and it's like it felt like in a movie format, you know, when they add like, you know, Iron Man all of a sudden into the story to like add that they're gonna go here, it felt post-credit scene.
Right. Or I would say a movie scene where like the actor where like the characters talking in their heads and kind of like recounting everything, and you know, towards the end of the movie.
Yes.
But in a not so good way, like this.
It becomes redundant. It's like, we know this. Why are we getting
too thinky? Like you're thinking too much.
Yeah, like why exactly? Exactly. I'm like, it's a horrible recap of everything. Your fear. Yes, and then we just got that. It's because to just get in the happy ending. We're in the happy ending for 2 seconds, and then go into the harshness of the epilogue, and like we shouldn't stay here. We should.
The last sentence, the last page, you know, and we'll be okay, right? That's the last sentence.
Thank you. Okay.
Perfect. We didn't need the epilogue. What do you need
we
the
didn't need it
for?
We totally agree on that. We totally agree on that. He messed up with the epilogue.
Added tacked on thing that was like maybe yes, the whole adventure with Andrew, because you're like,
and they did. I was like, oh my god.
What do you mean? Am I supposed to be badly about Andrew? I don't know.
Yes. Like, oh my god. Like a better epilogue would have been them like on the boat and it being like, oh, we're gonna Yeah, like Henry waving or something like that would have been cute. Like they met Henry already. Like fast forward to that,
Oh
and
my
then
God,
they met Henry.
Amy and Henry, and like the little baby is running towards Henry to say hello.
That would have been a better epilogue. I'm like, oh, even though I want the sequel, to be opened up to first start with the adventure to meet Henry again,
right.
because she made such an impact on us.
Exactly. I think if the epilogue, if anything, if he does not bring into a series like more, the epilogue unnecessary.
It was unnecessary.
He does add his like more books.
But doesn't it also kind of foreshadow that they might also go to Chicago to meet the kids who lived in the airport?
It seems like there's a series after this, but that's what I'm saying. If there is a series, this epilogue works, okay? Because like we can understand maybe.
Yeah, but it messes up because it's too wish fulfillment. Because now if we never get that, it was not satisfying.
It wasn't necessary. Yeah, the epilogue was pointless. If we don't have more books, the epilogue was just kind of like, I didn't really like it. I wouldn't have liked the epilogue to stay there. I would delete.
Yeah, because now the epilogue keeps you in anxiety.
Yeah, and it also it like stresses you out because you're kind of like, okay, well then, like Andrew's whole point to
what's the point of going to Key West and finally kissing and being safe?
Right, because Andrew is now like second guessing. We can't stay here. This isn't my place. Like, why? Wait, what happened? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's like, oh my God. So, but at least none of them died randomly.
Right. So, like, I would say that. That's my take on that ending. If there's no more of this book, then that epilogue was completely pointless.
And I would tell the author to take off the epilogue in future.
I would say delete the epilogue. You don't need it. This is extra. But if there is going to be more, then it's okay because you can answer some of these questions in another book.
Yeah, and then future readers, when the multiple books are out, when they read that epilogue, they'll be like, "Oh, let's jump into the next book."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but so I don't know if it is.
Hopefully, there's going to be more because if not,
I think this is his debut. It's his first book.
Nice.
Yeah, it's his first book.
Yeah, you could tell though, like I said, because you could tell from the beginning towards the middle, towards the end. I think that the beginning was a little weaker. The middle was super, super strong. It gets going, it keeps going better and better and better. And then you get to the end and you're kind of like, meh. So I would say that as a debut, you could tell, but I think I would read more from him for sure.
Yeah, for sure. He's excellent. He's really good at pacing. Yeah, he's good at pacing. Like, and all of that, I agree. Did you read the excerpt of him like explaining why he re-added COVID?
No, I didn't. What did he say?
No, just that he's like that before he released the book, he was like, should I put COVID? Should I not put COVID? Should I? And he's like, you know what? Let's put COVID because it's what we all went through, or we'll relate more to it. And you know what? We can't delete history. Right. Like it's now going to be in our books.
I see it here. He says the longer COVID went on, the more irresponsible it seemed to try to ignore its impact on our world and not include anything about it in the novel.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I didn't mind it. I liked it. I think that it was good that he added COVID in. I think that's
me too.
Because for me, like I said, you already, like we started talking about at the beginning, you already get a sense of like what a pandemic feels like as a modern person, what it feels like, and then you get into the nitty-gritty of what it could become. And it feels very realistic because of what we already experienced.
Yeah, because we went through it already, the panic of the quarantines.
So them following afterwards a flu and then it getting as bad as it did, you can see it feels real. It feels realistic to what could happen because we've already kind of experienced it. So I think it was a good choice for him to keep.
Yeah, and I liked that was another thing I kind of liked with the description of the apocalypse, that he's like, most people were staying at home, so there wasn't any pandemonium in the streets. Like you know how in other fiction, cars are all over
and burning buildings and cars on the highway.
There's none of that. There's none of that.
It was very quiet because that's what it was like when we would experience it, right? Everybody was home. The streets there was no one out there. Nobody was racing towards other cities.
People were just dropping, and people were just staying home. Exactly. And then 99% of the population. That's creepy.
Yeah. No, I thought it was really. I thought like we were saying
World
at the
building.
beginning, the world building, the post-apocalypse, I thought it was really good. I thought it was really fun.
And it was unique. It was slightly
Right,
unique.
exactly. And it wasn't so like stressful like it would be with a zombie where you're like expecting to get killed at any moment.
I was so happy it wasn't a zombie.
Right. It's
Yeah.
I think I thought at the beginning I thought it was gonna be another zombie story, so I was a little iffy. But then when I realized it was just a super flu, I ended up really enjoying that outline.
Yeah. You know what's funny? There's 2 post-apocalyptic gay fictions that just came out. But I chose this one for us. The other one is zombies. But I'm not and zombies have been a little too played out. I'm like, let's go with something more.
Honestly, for me, after The Walking Dead, zombies are just like, I'm tired.
Right. After it's because girl, The Walking Dead is what, in season 27?
And the worst thing
like,
is, I thought it started out strong, but then it got so dramatic and then so like bad.
Yeah, we're zombie fatigue.
People are just hard. I just couldn't enjoy it. So yeah, anyways, but that's my gripe with the
the gripe.
The Walking Dead. But I really liked it. Aside from that, that's why I gave it a 4. I gave it a 4 because of the ending. Because of the beginning was a little uncertain. I was a little unsure if it was gonna be too fan fictiony. And then the will they won't they was just too often.
Too long. I get you.
Too many times.
Yeah.
Too many times. It was good, but too many times where I started to get tired. And then for me, the actual kiss was anticlimactic.
Yeah.
But other than that, the flow, the storyline itself, Jameson and Andrew, lovable characters. I absolutely adored them. I ended up loving Kara. I loved Henry. Even the bad guys were fun because they were just bad enough that you just wanted to see bad things happen to them. It was good. He did it
exactly
for a debut novel. I had a lot of fun.
Right, and then I could plug in the audiobook in this section right now. I did half reading, but I also did audiobook, and I love audiobooks. You know me, because I love it because it adds to it, especially because I'm a night owl, so I read really late sometimes. So like being in total darkness with the lamp, and then a lot of our audiobooks have been going more advanced now, where they lay in music and ambient noises and stuff like that. But this one, what made this one audiobook different, and I highly recommend, is that each chapter of each boy is narrated by a different voice actor.
Right.
So
you told me that, I wanted to listen to it. I was like, okay, I gotta get this because that sounds so fun. Like, it's not as fun for me. It wouldn't be as fun if it had just been one person throughout the whole thing. But the idea of like, one of them reading one chapter, like that sounds super fun. And I feel like it would add to the moments of like the cutesy stuff.
Yeah, it does. It does.
So I definitely want to listen to it now.
Especially when, like, for example, Andrew's voice actor speaks Jameson lines, like Jameson says. He mimics like the butchery voice, the deeper voice of Jameson. And like they do really, really good. It's good. I highly recommend the audio.
Just you describing it, I already, but like I need to get it. I need to listen to it. And that's another thing. It's readable again. I think you could read this again.
Yes.
And still enjoy it. I think that Jameson and Andrew are characters that I wouldn't mind revisiting. Like they're fun. They're nice,
like we'll totally cover the sequels.
Like I would be friends. I would want to be friends with the both of them. Characters. And I had a thing for Jameson from the beginning. I was like, okay, sounds so cute.
I love them both, but I get you, Jameson. I like Jameson because he has that himbo
my heart. I was like,
ooh, yeah, but I like Andrew's, like pop culture. His jokes.
Too much of us that for me it was like I just fell in love with Jameson.
Yeah, I get you. But yeah. But our next book, I can't wait.
Yes, the next book is going to be Gallant by V. Schwab.
Oh, you say Gallant, I say Gallant.
Is it? I don't know how to.
No, I don't know.
Either Gallant or Gallant. Maybe it's Gallant.
It's because I think Gallivant.
Yeah, maybe it could be Gallant. I don't really know how to pronounce it. I was pronouncing it Gallant in my head, but it's by V. Schwab. Well, actually, I think in the actual thing it's Victoria Schwab because she has both. She has V. Schwab and she has Victoria Schwab. So I think this one is under the name Victoria Schwab. But I am very excited for this one because I think she described it as The Secret Garden means Crimson Peak or something like that.
I
So I was like, okay,
know,
this sounds really good.
yes.
I'm excited to read it. And just to say, I've never read a book of hers, so this will be my first venture into
Yeah, we're trying a lot of new writers.
yeah.
I love it. We're doing new voices.
And the
Yeah.
cover is really pretty.
No, it is. I know. Us and covers this year. We're like, ah.
Why
But
don't
yeah,
we
it was
go to
fun.
the UK so we get the prettier ones?
I know, right? I have to see Gallant's UK cover. Maybe it is better. I am going to do that now with you. But yeah, it was so much fun. Love. Can't
Yes,
wait
this
till the
was
next
great.
one.
Thank you so much for joining me. This was a lot of fun. I can't wait to bring you on for the next book that we decide to read. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This is Craftland, Heather, and Daniel. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.